Good evening, everyone. This is Dwej, Academic Coordinator at Career Cell. We are glad to have you here with us for the second session of Grad Chat, Journey to B Schools. Firstly, we have Devavrat, who graduated from MEMS department and scored 99.99 percentile in CAD. He's currently in IIM Ahmedabad. Next up to join him, we have Rahul, who is a graduate from Mechanical Engineering and scored 99.99 percentile in CAD. He is currently in IIM Calcutta. Third up, we have Somansh, who is also a graduate from the Mechanical Department. He has scored 100 percentile in CAT and secured admission at IIM Ahmedabad. And finally, we have with us Vedarth, who scored 99.97 percentile and has secured admission at IIM Ahmedabad. Thanks to all four of them for being with us here today. Additionally, I request all attendees to kindly post any questions you may have in the chat section specifically and address them to all participants. Your questions will later be answered following the discussion. Let's begin with the session. Over to you guys.
Yeah, so shall I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so guys, we'll be starting with some of the basic stuff that you need to know before going for the MBA, and then we'll move to the Q&As. So let's start with, first of all, why we did the MBA or why we thought about going for MBA. Okay, so I'll share point of view first, and then we'll move to the others. So what I think is that MBA in today's world has become more of a necessity for you guys because most of the jobs. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So most of the jobs that you guys have nowadays will be managerial jobs. You guys will get out from the IITs, and in a few years of time, you'll have managerial jobs. So MBA is going to be a necessity for you. Not only is this going to be a necessity from the point of view of having experience, but many of the companies actually make it mandatory for you to have an MBA degree so as to procure a management position. So there's that. Secondly, MBA offers a wide variety of sectors for you to work in, which you previously didn't have at IIT. So there are many sectors like finance, marketing, and general management that open up once you go for an MBA and not directly from IIT. And yeah, thirdly, you get to network with the people of your choice. And if you're thinking about opening a startup, in the near future, or even if you are thinking about opening a startup after about 10 years or so, you get a strong network to support you because most of the peers you will be having at IIM are going to be at good positions all over in the industry. And you need these connections so as to be successful at your startup or have a decent chance. It isn't like that you're going to fail if you don't have these, but it is always good enough or a plus point that you'll have in case you are thinking about opening a startup. So these were the major things for me, at least, which I thought about when going for the MBA. I'll let the others speak now.
Yeah, so I think Devavrat covered almost all the points. The one factor which affected my choice the most was, again, something which Devavrat said, and which was the opportunities which were there in the non-core sector for IIT. So I was open to going for an MBA or doing a job, but in my fourth year, I realized the companies which come to IIT are not something which I want to pursue later on. And having talked to a few people who had done an MBA or were pursuing MBA, I realized that after doing an MBA, there is a much higher probability of me getting jobs which I will like doing. So that was the main factor for me. I think Somansh can continue.
Yeah, so my question to I'm audible? Hello?
Yeah, you are breaking a bit, but I think you're audible.
Okay. So my motivation was a bit from the perspective of what I wanted to do in my career, so I was interested in the field of sustainability, and then from there I realized that major challenges in that field I felt was in the part of implementation and not the technology or the research part. So I realized that I would be required to have expand my skill set in those arenas. So that brought the motivation in me to pursue an MBA, and uh, yeah, so it took a I oscillated a bit between doing an MS and doing an MBA or something like that. But I realized that even if I want to do an MS, a couple of years of work experience or something like that would be beneficial. So this year, like in my fourth year, I decided to give a shot at that. So I guess without continue.
Yeah, thanks for your, like, these guys have covered pretty much all of it. But one thing I want to say is that this question is pretty important, like why MBA? Reason being, this will be asked in your IIM interviews also, and you'll have to prepare an answer for that at that time. If you are thinking why you want to do an MBA, think what you like to do. What have you done in the past 4 years? Is it more of managing? Is it more towards research? So for me, why I chose to do an MBA was that it was a process of elimination. For some, it's a process of selection. For me, it was I was not interested in core. I didn't want to do a PhD, and I'm not that much into coding as well. So this field from the start interested me, and the activities that I've done in the my college years, that has been aligned with like something of a managerial education ahead. And of course, it boosts your career, and like it gives you more money basically afterward. And it's a really great booster to your career. You get more leadership positions ahead, and maybe you can even start a startup afterward. So that's it from my end. Over to Devavrat.
Shall I move ahead,
Yeah, I think you can move
Vedarth?
ahead. Yeah, you can move ahead.
Yeah. So next, another question came up was that go for the MBA right now, immediately after graduating, or should you take some work experience and then go for the MBA? So me and Rahul here are going directly for the MBA, and Vedarth and Somansh are taking a deferral, so they'll be joining after 2 years. So you will get both the point of views, and you can decide for yourself what you want to do. So for me, this was the reason. First of all, sectors that I wanted to join, or the sector particularly, which was consulting. So consulting does not particularly ask for work experience. If you are an MBA and if you don't have work experience, consulting will shortlist you if you have a decent profile, of course. So that was one thing for me. Secondly, what happened this year was that the companies pushed our joining dates ahead, and rather than wasting time just waiting for my job to start, I decided it was a good time to learn instead. So that was the second thing for me, and almost the decisive thing this year. So yeah, that was it for me. You can, Rahul, you can answer.
Yeah,
Take it from here.
so I think the answer for me also is pretty similar. As I said that first of all, there is an option of deferring, and then there is another option of taking CAT 2 years later. So the reason I didn't postpone CAT prep was because, as I said, the number of companies and the type of companies which come to IIT specifically are not something which I personally like. So if someone is deciding right now and they have an interest or think they might be interested in something which comes to IIT, I think you should work in a company for a year or two and then try and do an MBA. The other factor is that preparing for an MBA while doing a job is not easy. In college, so for example, I took less electives in my fourth year first sem. and that helped me prepare. But you won't get that option in the job. So these are the two major factors. And for deferral, I think they've kind of cleared it out. So joint dates being pushed and it not being very clear because of the COVID is a very big factor. Somansh can tell you why he postponed.
So first of all, I would like to clarify that when these 2 years of deferment or work experience actually helps you. So when I talk to seniors and some of the experienced people, so they were very clear about it that only relevant work experience helps you when you enter into MBA business school or somewhere. So that is an important thing to keep in mind if you are planning to defer. Uh, so yeah, other than that, I actually deferred at Ahmedabad because I'm actually still not sure if I want to do an MS in a couple of years or actually do MBA. So I'm just taking my time to figure things out. And fortunately, I got the option of deferring. The decision you take also depends on the current opportunities that you have after you graduate from IIT. So you need to weigh those things accordingly. And as these two have pointed out, the current scenario also had to be taken into consideration. So it's not a very a straightforward decision or a formula. So you need to actually decide for yourself. We can at best give our reasons. So yeah, with that, can continue.
Okay. So MBA right now versus 2 years is an important question. Why? Because you're thinking to give CAT this year or the next year or later, right? Thing was, I decided to defer my IIM Ahmedabad admission because, firstly, I didn't exactly know which part I want to pursue ahead after MBA. So, be it finance, marketing, product management, I didn't exactly know, and I felt that this is a large formal education that I'll have, and let's use it to the best way so that I can figure out which part I want to go. And switching from one sector to other might be a little difficult going ahead. That's why I decided that let's. And the second point was that you need to build your profile in IIM. So I'm Ahmedabad specifically, there's a lot of competition. And I felt that my profile lacked in a few points, which is why I decided to like build like in 2 years I can explore not just my job, but other things. Other I can switch jobs, I can do differ. And a few questions are that you can differ for either 1 or 2 years. It's up to you. So yeah, that's basically why I deferred. Other factor was that I already had a job in my hand, which was confirmed. So I'm already working. So that helped me make the decision. Over to Devavrat.
Yeah, we have some questions which say that did you answer the same in the interview? No, of course not. We don't tell the truth in the interview. So yeah. Next, we have a question of pursuing MBA abroad versus in India. So I'll let you know my point of view on this. Pursuing MBA abroad is first of all a risky thing. That's what made the decision for me. I'll tell you why it's risky. First of all, for pursuing MBA abroad, if you don't have a very good profile at this point of time, you need to build up a good profile for over 3 to 4 years at least. So if you want to pursue MBA abroad, you need to be in a good firm and work for 3 to 4 years before you can finally apply in a good B school. Okay. So after you apply in a good B school, the fees are tremendous. That is, you may need to spend about $2 lakh for the 2 years, including everything, of course. But that's the amount that you need to spend on a foreign MBA. Now, to repay this amount, you'll need to take a loan, of course, and it takes about 3 to 4 years after that in a good job to repay this amount. So, if you consider this entire tenure, you are stuck for about 10 years in this, 8 to 10 years in this entire process. And in case you don't find a good job, even after doing an MBA abroad, which can happen, so that is really risky. Then you have no way to repay your loan, and you'll be stuck for a long period of time without a good job and no way to repay your loan. So that wasn't a good thing for me. Instead, if you pursue it in India, you have a good job guarantee, a guaranteed return on investment in a few years at least. So it was a less risky option. And apart from that, of course, IIMs are really good, and you get a job in India. And if it is an international firm, you can anyway shift to a foreign job in a few years if you perform well. So I think that route was better because you can don't get attached or don't get stuck to a route to keep on repaying your student debt. So this was the line of thought that I had, and that was the reason I didn't even think about a foreign MBA. And my profile wasn't good enough so that I could get immediately after graduation. Like some of the people in our batch did get directly into a foreign MBA, but I don't think I could have done it. So this was my line of thought at least. I think others have much
Right.
better insight on this issue.
Let me add on to that. So the first point that Devas said was money, which is a very huge factor because for an MBA costs almost 1 crore, and you need to stay there a few years to repay it because you'll get more salary in the US, so you'll have to stay there for 2 to 3 years to like recover, and if you want to come to India, then you come. But like this answer to this question, GMAT versus CAT, depends on what your goals are. Okay, so if you want to eventually settle in the US, a good option for you to go to an MBA and then settle there. You'll have a good life. But personally, my goals were more inclined towards settling in India. Second point is that foreign MBA requires a certain level of certain years of work experience. So many these schools have this that you can't apply before 2 years of work ex, and that's just the minimum. So for Indian students, the average work experience is 3 years or 4 years. Okay, to get into say the Ivy, the top tier, right? Harvard, Stanford. So these people value work ex a lot, and that way then you'll have to stay here for 3-4 years, make like accumulate money, have this work ex, then give GMAT, then go to there, then 2-3 years after that you'll be settled in life. So it's a little bit long, right? In IIM you can you settle more early in your life, right? Second, I'm getting questions here about the MIM program. So that's also popular. Like people have this confusion. So MIM is not basically, it's not exactly MBA. MIM is it's like people who are just freshers who want to get into management and their background is not into management. So those people feel that MIM is it's a great thing, and people want to go to foreign quickly earlier. So then you won't need to wait for 3-4 years get that work ex. You can directly go now, and that's also a good option. But it's very niche. Like only about I'm not sure 10-15 schools around the world offer this MIM. Great good schools offer this MIM program. So and it's a career path. And stating all this, IIM seems like the ideal option that way. So that was MBA was like GMAT versus CAT.
So I would
Now, yeah, so
just like to kind of conclude and add a point that what seniors had told me when I asked them about this was you do MBA primarily for two reasons. One is to expand your skill set, and another significant thing is the networking that you create in those 2 years. So a major factor should be should depend, as they said, on where you want to settle in India or abroad. If you plan to settle in India, then doing an MBA from a lower ranked school that is in India would prove to be a better option because of the networking advantage that you would get in the long run. And also, since we are getting a lot of questions regarding deferment, so I'll just quickly brief you about it. So IIM Ahmedabad, only IIM Ahmedabad offers the deferment option, and you can apply it after all the process of selection is over. So you just need to give them a short SOP explaining why you feel that it will be beneficial for you, and attach the your offer letter or wherever whatever you would be doing in these 2 years or 1 year. You have an option of either 1 year or 2 year, and typically all the freshers get accepted. Their application for deferment gets accepted, so that won't be an issue, and you can think about it later as well. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Another question I see is that there are few MBA programs which are 2+2. Like Yale has this 2+2 MBA program, but for that you will need a very good profile, and it's very rare for people to. But everyone apply for them. And a few other questions are regarding finance. So MS in finance, is that a good option? So I don't think any of us here have that answer. You might want to ask with people who are into that, into core finance.
And
Hope on my
another
side.
question is someone is asking what will help better CFA, FRM, or MBA. So, what people generally do is if they think they have interest in finance, they will, take the first level of at least, and after that gauge if they have interest in finance. It is not like if you do the CFA, you need not do the MBA after that. So you take the CFA, it gives you a good idea of basic finance, and you can decide after that if you really have an interest in it. And if you have it, MBA after that gives you great opportunities to enter the finance industry. Although the job opportunities nowadays are a little bit on the decline, but MBA offers really good finance jobs for you. So if you take CFA 1 or 2 levels and then go to MBA, it is a really great choice if you develop interest in finance.
Yeah, and one more point. We have talked a lot about cons of GMAT, but a few pros are that you get much better, like it adds much more value for MBAs. Like you get to be a CEO at a global level. It's a globally recognized degree. IIMs will help in India that way.
People are asking about very good profiles for Harvard and all that. I think I'll recommend two names. Recommend or just inform you about Shubhankar Seth from our batch. So you can connect with him, I think, and he can let you know more about this. He got calls from almost all the top tier B schools abroad. So you can compare his profile and you will get a very good idea of what I mean by good profile. Shubhankar Seth, just remember the name.
Rahul?
I think I'll go forward to the
Yeah, I
next
think we can
question.
move to the preparation.
Yeah. So yeah. So coming to the preparation timeline. So first of all, I think everyone has a separate preparation timeline. I'll give you what I had, and um, yeah, and yeah, starting with if you are in IIT, I think you already have an edge over a lot of people who are taking CAT because in that 12th at least you have gone through that rigorous process of doing math, and uh, generally your speed of solving questions is also faster. So the way I did it was, so I seriously started prepping after my internship. So I came back from my internship in July end. So I started around this time only in the first week of August. So the preparation was divided in three parts. First was syllabus completion. The second was improving speed, and the third one was taking mocks. So that was the idea which I took. So syllabus completion will theoretically from 1 week to 1 week, 1 month, depending on how fast you're doing everything. I know people who have done it in a week. I did it in 2.5 weeks. If it is perfectly all right if you do it in a month or 2 months as well. But when syllabus completion, by the end of it, you should be at least you should be knowing what all is there in each sub part. So in DILR, you should know what type of questions come in quant, what type of questions are there. Then after that, there was this increasing speed. So this, according to me, was the most important part of CAT because if you give anyone a paper of previous past paper of CAT and give him 10 hours, then he'll solve the whole thing. There's almost no doubt about that. But the problem is solving those 32 questions of DILR in that 1 hour. That is the main thing which distinguishes someone who has got a very high percentile from someone who's not got it. So for that, uh, the good thing is there are a lot of mock tests available, and what these coaching companies have done in these mock tests is they've put in a lot of effort in telling you how much time you've taken in each question, how much time what is the average time of someone solving this question, what is the average time of someone solving this question correctly. So using all of this data, it is pretty easy to find out if you're slow in a particular section as compared to the average. Okay, so once you figure out what you're slow in, or I think the average is not a good thing to look at. 0.8 times the average is something you should aim for. So, so once you know what you're looking up, what you have to focus on, you can you can do stuff. So, for example, there were these questions on which required a lot of calculations. So I realized I was not very fast at those. So I kind of Googled Vedic maths, saw 10-15 videos, and in 2 days, my score was much better. Similarly, there are a lot of tricks for questions like how much work would 10 people do in 5 days if 5 people do 10 units of work in 20 days, whatever. So these kind of questions also have some smaller tricks, very fast tricks, which are logical once you get them, but you can't get them on your own. So once you realize which questions you're slow in, you can just focus on time. And similarly, this was quant. Similarly, there are things which you can do for DILR and verbal, I think, which we'll talk about later. So, and coming to the third part was mocks. So, so this was something which I focused on a lot. I am not very sure how everyone does it, but I took like 50 mocks by the end of these by the exam day. So I was very thorough with how I'm supposed to take the test. I'll do this question, this part first, this part later, and how I'll approach this. So because I was very stable and I knew what was going to happen on the exam day, and one other thing which I did even during my JE was took the took the mocks at the exact same time where my cat would happen, because I have this theory where your mind will work at a similar speed on that day. So yeah, that's something which you can follow. So yeah, these are the three main steps which I followed, and it helped me a lot. I think the others can tell strategies.
Okay, I think I can tell my timeline and the preparation material. What exactly did I use and all? So my timeline was like I joined time in February, but I just attended classes. I didn't really study on my own, and I got serious till July. So I started from July, and then over the like in the month of October, November, I used to do only aptitude, like only the SCAT prep. Luckily, I didn't get selected for consult companies, so I just prepared for aptitude. I didn't have any other distraction as such. Coming to the material, we all attended time, and I didn't even know these three were in the time until like just now, because these three didn't attend the sessions. I was the only one who attended the sessions. So I can say what the benefits are of the sessions. So as an IITian, you know a lot of the things. You know a lot of things how to do it, right? You have done it in your JE, but these classes they tell you how a few methods, how to improve your speed, and like these things that you don't know. Like I would say aptitude about 70% you already know all the formulas, everything. But I would say 30% that's number system parts is something you don't not everyone knows. So that part I really helped by going to the classes, right? And books and all everything I use just time. Another important thing is mock test. So as Rahul mentioned, I gave 30-40 mock tests during that time. Anybody would like to add anything?
Yes, so I can share my preparation strategy. So I joined time in the month of January, but initially in my sixth sem for the first 3 to 4 months, I just attended, I guess, classes on the weekends. Basically in those 3 to 4 months, I got to know the pattern of the paper, what kind of questions come, and where do I stand, what are my kind of loosely what are my weak areas and those things. So, and then during the internship 2 months in the summer, I did not do any preparation. But after I came back, since I had an idea, an overview of the paper, I had a good idea about how much time I will be required to devote, and so that I can plan the things accordingly. And so yeah, then till the resume submission deadline, the preparation wasn't very serious even till then. But after that, I began giving almost all of weekends and a few hours in the weekdays. So my entire preparation was focused through mocks. So what I used to do was give mocks, and then say mocks request 3 hours. So I used to analyze the mocks for 4 to 5 years, and then know what were my weak areas. I actually tabulated the errors that I made in some of the mocks, and then assigned a reason for every error so that I could know what kind of errors I'm making. And then basically it was like working on those errors, working on those topics. To me, for CAT, the starting right from the syllabus and a methodical approach didn't make much sense to me, because there were a lot of areas which we were already good at. So what I focused on was analyzing the weak areas and then just focusing on that and improving that, and then analyzing the improvement through mocks. By the end, I had given about 25 mocks in a time, and then a few of past year CAT papers. And again, as Rahul said, even I believed in giving papers at the time, in the timings that we would be expected to appear for the final CAT. Also, my slot was the morning slot, so like in see we tend to sleep very late and get up at around lunch and have that as a breakfast. So that was an issue. So one to 1.5 week prior to final cat, I started sleeping early, getting up early, and started giving mocks in that time, and that certainly helped a lot on the day of the exam. Like the small things, like you don't feel hungry, you don't feel thirsty, and all those things. All those things I feel are important to be ensured beforehand. Yes, they can continue.
Yeah, so I think we'll now move to strategies for individual subjects, that is VARC, DILR, and Quant. So for VARC, I think most of the people from IIT score low in VARC comparatively. Even in the main CAT, I scored much less in VARC than Quant and DILR. So VARC is actually something I don't think I could improve a lot in all these months. But what I did improve was my concentration, and you require a lot of concentration for scoring well in the reading comprehensions. You have this huge passage, so you have this and these passages have really well constructed questions after them, and if you need to answer them accurately, you need to remember the exact summary of the passage, and that is achieved only after you have good concentration. So to improve my concentration, I started reading essays on a site called aldaily.com. uh, so on this site you have extremely uninteresting essays, and after and huge uninteresting essay with full concentration, I think that helped me improve my concentration a bit. So that was it for RC. And for VA, so first of all, I'll let you know what the structure of VRC is. For the first 24 questions or so, you have reading comprehensions. You have passages and about 4 to 5 questions after each passage, and a total of 24 questions on RC. After 24, from 25 to 34, you have questions on VA. So in VA, they ask normally grammatical questions or they'll ask you to summarize a passage, or they'll ask you to sequence a passage in the proper sequence, so that it makes sense and all. So in this part, I solved a few booklets of time on VA, to just get a hold of what these sort of questions are uh, trying to gauge, and that is all I could do. But I couldn't improve much accuracy in the end, even after doing all this. So I guess it is more about improving your concentration in VARC at least. So yeah, you should do that. For DILR, I solved a lot of questions. Again, firstly from the time booklet. After I had completed the entire syllabus, I still was scoring much lower than what I should have in the mock test of time. So after the booklets, I came to sectional tests that time offer. So time offers an infinite number of sectional tests, and you will never get all of them done. So you should focus on that area, on that which you find weak, and you should solve as many sectional tests as you can on that area. So I did that for DILR, and DILR improved remarkably. And in CAT, I scored really well in DILR. You need a bit of luck in DILR because you have passages, and it is either you can get the whole passage right or you get the whole passage wrong. So it is a bit of luck, but you can improve upon it a lot, and it happened for me. So yeah, that's that. And thirdly, for quant is the major area where you can improve your score a lot, because you need a lot of tricks and tips and tricks at hand to quickly solve the questions, because you'd have studied more for JEE, and thing in JEE is that you need to get difficult questions right, and the method to get difficult questions right is much different than the method to get the questions faster and more accurate. So you need to have a lot of formulas ready in your mind, and that's what will help you in quant. And I made a long sheet of all the formulas that I felt were important and remembered all of those. And yeah, doing that, my quant score gradually improved, and in CAT I scored well in quant. So yeah, that was my strategy. Moving on to the others.
Yeah. So
Yeah, just answering another question. Yeah, just answering another question. People are asking if there is any need to focus on vocab. No, actually, vocab isn't as important as you think, because in CAT they don't focus almost at all on vocab, and none of the questions actually ask you any word meanings or so. Just your basic English is good.
yeah. So yeah, and I did not prepare for GMAT or GRE, but even then, vocab was not an issue. As in, it was not something which troubled me. There were many other things which troubled me a lot during the prep. So for me, again, it was pretty similar to what Dev said. There was first starting with VARC. In RC, what I realized halfway through my prep was that it was very tough for me to increase my score. So and actually, what was the main problem was that it was too variable. I had scored 17 out of 100 in one test and 65 in another. So it was just too variable. So for that, I later realized that it was the lack of time which affected my score the most. So for that, again, in this also, English also time was a major factor for me. So I kind of focus on increasing my reading speed and kind of read the first and last lines of paragraphs to make it more convenient to answer questions, and kind of tried all kind of things like that, and then one of them stuck, so, which was what I said. So that was the thing which I did. For verbals, I think the book from Time has some really good ways. It kind of makes VARC a bit mathematical. That if this is there, then the next line should have or this. It kind of makes it more objective, and that that is something which made it easier to solve those questions. For DILR, DILR, what I feel is it is almost impossible to solve all 8 questions in the 1 hour, which is given. If someone can solve it, hats off to them. So initially, I was able to solve just 4, and I kind of did a lot of questions, and the main focus which I had over there was a variety of questions. So I knew what kind of questions are there and what kind of approach, the general approach to that question is. Now, there are variations in those questions, but I think everyone is smart enough to figure out what variation we are applying. But there is a basic general idea of how you solve each kind of question. So I kind of focused on that, and by the end of it, I was able to solve 7 out of the 8 sets completely right, and the last one I just uh, go through really fast and mark whatever I like. So DILR is something. Sorry, yeah, DILR is something which I would recommend everyone to spend some time on so that you save time later in the actual exam. And again, in quant, I think they was spot on. You just need to everyone can solve those questions. You need to be precise and fast. And the formula sheet which he had, I also made one. I had a book where I wrote all the formulas. And by the end of so by mid-November, I kind of was able to. I didn't have to go through the book every time. It was just in my memory, and I was thorough with it because I had looked at it for like if I had taken 25 mocks till then, I looked at it 50 times. So then that made it really easy for me, and I think that was a smart thing to do. So yeah, so much.
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to add a point that what helped me throughout the preparation was that I had realized that the through the preparation that the skills that you would develop while trying to score better, I realized that they're actually not just useful for the exam, but also in general in life as well. Say in reading comprehension, you require skill to read fast and interpret things and know the distinction between what your bias is letting you know and what actually is written in the text. Then TLR is basically like puzzle solving, and I think most of us would be interested in that. So doing that was I enjoyed that already. So coming to section, so VRC, I believe the major issue I felt was I never got to understand why my answers were wrong or why their answers were correct. So that was a major problem. But once you understand that this is an objective based paper and there is a clear answer that is not ambiguous, so and you start thinking from the perspective of the examiner, from the person who sets the questions. So I think that gave me a major boost in terms of my score. But still, even till the end, I wasn't very confident in VRC, and yeah, so RC was a bit shaky there. Another problem that I used to face was in terms of abstract. I took a lot of time to go through abstract topics, the RC that were based on abstract topics. So because we are more accustomed to reading technical stuff. So one thing you can do is in the exam you can actually first see if the passage is abstract or not, and you can maybe attempt that later, so that you don't waste a lot of time on a few number of questions. In VA, yeah, as Rahul pointed out, in the time material there are many shortcuts or tricks through which you can quickly realize what should be the order of sentences or those things. And they also help you clear out confusion, because typically what happens is you are stuck between two sentences, which comes earlier, which comes later, and those things. In DILR, since there are a wide variety of questions that the kind of passages that come, so it will be beneficial if you realize soon that what kind of questions you are good at, what are your weak areas, and basically practicing those weak areas is the only thing you can do. As such, I'm not aware of many tricks in DILR because that's uh, kind of intelligence and your intuition based. But yeah, also I won't suggest to have any presumptions in mind in terms of how many sets you should be able to solve in the paper, because the level of each section keeps varying year-wise through every CAT. I guess in like this 2019, it was relatively easier, so we were able to solve 6 to 7 sets, but that shouldn't be something that you make a notion about before the exam. In quant, I felt I had an edge over others in quant because I was trained in abacus, which helps you do basic arithmetic pretty fast. What I felt in quant basically is like your score is rests on two legs that are speed and accuracy. And if you went to increase when other suffers. So for me, it was like I used to get a decent accuracy and then try to increase my speed, and then the accuracy would drop. Then I would decrease my speed a bit and then focus on accuracy, and I kept doing this. And towards the end, both accuracy and speed were improved significantly. And yeah, in general, on the exam day, I would say just be sure that you don't waste a lot of time on any single question. So a basic strategy which I guess most of us use was like go through the questions, since there are many questions and you're not expected to solve each one of them. So just go through the questions. If you feel you can certainly solve this, go attempt it, mark it, and then move to the next question. If you feel you need to think it, or this is a new question, you will need to think it from scratch, then I would suggest that just skip that and keep that for later. Uh, that's all, I guess. Vedarth can continue.
Okay. So I think major of the points have been covered, but a few things I would like to add. So firstly, VARC, in the RC part, there are about 5 passages. So the most important thing here is selection. So you won't be attempting all 5 of the passages. First point to keep in mind. I didn't know this. I didn't know this till 2 3 months. I used to attempt all the passages, and I used to get 20 25 marks in the AIM cats. So that's not something you want to do. Now these passages are based on. It can be based on technology. It can be based on philosophy, sports, anything. So these philosophy passages, right? These are usually hard. So first thing I do, I just scroll through and I just skip the philosophy ones. I just don't do them. Okay. Now another point is that I always felt that VARC was more of a English section, right? It's more towards English, how good your English is, how good your grammar is. No, that's not true. That also I got to know afterwards that English is more towards logic. It's that section has so much logic in it because you have to read through the paragraph. It's logic without formulas, okay? So you need to go through the paragraphs. You need to try to understand what the author is saying, what his point of view is, what is he promoting, etc. And that's more hard, okay? So VARC is that section which is high input. You need to put in a lot of work, and it's low output. You won't get that much as much you would put in DLR or quant. But you know what? That's also the make it or break it section. So believe it or not, all IITs are good at DLR or quant, right? But VARC you need to do if you want to get into ABC. You need to give a lot of time to it. Now, how to give time, right? So what I did was I used to read newspapers because I thought that would increase my English. So that did get my English better, but I didn't focus on that logic part. What's behind this reading between the lines? That's what important in BRC. Okay, so keep that in mind. Firstly, selection, and it's based on logic, right? Next, coming to DILR, selection is more important than the number of questions. Don't attempt all 8. If you can, then only. In terms of speed, DILR is a section that you really need to have a good practice. Okay. So do the things in DILR you have already done. It's basic calculation only. You know those stuff, and if you know even 2 hours for DILR, you'll get all of the questions correct. But that's not the thing. So speed is the most important factor, especially in DILR, right? And going through the questions, like I used to do really well with the relationships question, like who is A is the father of B and C that way. So those questions I did first, attempted first, and that way. So you need to have a priority on your mind, which topics I'm really good at, and then prioritize them in that way, giving DIL. Okay. So quant, I used to go in two ways. So the uh, um, first go through and the second go through. Just leave the questions that seem time taking. Just leave them in the first. That way, I did all the three sections. I think you should also follow this method. Think, yeah, that's it from my side.
Uh, I would like to add a point for DILR. So LR is basically logical reasoning. So in those passages, if you crack the passage, you can solve all the four questions right away. But in DI, you can, if there is a time difference, you can actually solve just two out of four of them or three out of four of them. So what I would suggest is in the exam, like solve the LR first, because in the end you wouldn't know how much time will be left. So say if there are only 2 or 3 minutes left, you can always go for a couple of DI questions. But if only an LR passage is left in the end, then there is a possibility that you actually try cracking the question for 2 and 3 minutes, and you almost get to the answer, but you don't have time to solve any of the questions. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I missed that one. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. The thing with DI is that even if you crack half the passage, you can answer half the questions. So that's great with DI. Keep that in mind and keep the DI questions towards the end. So
Also,
you may be able to attempt 6.5 passages and things like that.
yeah, another dilemma that we face while solving is, especially LR, is that you start solving the question, you feel that you'll get to the answer, but after even 5 to 7 minutes, you aren't able to move forward. So there, it becomes very difficult to decide whether to continue with this and get the answer in 1 or 2 more minutes, or you would be wasting another 10 minutes on this, and then all that confidence and morale goes down and all those things. So I think, yeah, but I think that you can gauge with practice. That's the only thing, I guess.
So should we move to placements and CAT?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So another question which comes out as how do you manage both placements and CAT? So I did give a lot of time for placements and CAT also, so I'll be able to answer this question. So what happened was I was aiming for consulting even in IIT, and the consulting shortlists come around 15th of October. At least in our time, it came around 15th of October because I don't know what is going to happen this year. So I knew that they come around that time, and I had planned out my timeline pretty well from pretty early on. So in July, till July, I had completed all the time booklets, and completing the booklets means that you have completed the syllabus. The syllabus means that you know the topics well, at least, and you know that how well you know that topic. Knowing how well you know that topic is also an important thing, and I knew that. And after that, I had started solving sectional tests. And sectional tests are something that allow you to get a lot of practice of all the topics and improve your weaker sections. So I did that till October basically. So midsems I was doing this. Then even a few days after midsem I did that. And from October I started doing case prep for consult, because till then I had a good idea that I'll get shortlisted for at least a few consulting firms in IIT. So after October, I started a little bit of prep of consult, and yeah, so my CAT prep time came down from October, and the consult prep time went up. What happened till October was that I had reached a level of expertise in CAT that I just had to maintain over the next few months. I didn't quite improve upon that later, but I just maintained that level of expertise till the time CAT came, and I think that worked out for me well. Solving for 1 hour, 1.5 hour daily after October was enough to maintain that level, and the rest of the time you can allot for ACADS and placements. So that was the thing that worked with me. For ACADS, I think I scored a bit less that sem, but you know what? The CPI had already gone both for placements and IIMs, so I didn't care much about that. So yeah, that's it from my side. Rahul can continue.
Yeah. So I never focused that much on placements. And then I applied for companies, but I never gave time or uh, put any effort into that. The only things I did was I got a few consult shortlists as well, but it was more of an outing to Starbucks for me because they kind of treat you over there. So, but the other part of it, then there was ACADS. As I said, I took like two electives and I had to go to had four courses, which was not very tough to handle because the electives are something which you choose, and I hope everyone is smart enough to not take heavy electives, at least if they're prepping for placements and CAT. The third, I was also part of the core team of the racing team, and for me, that was something which took the most time. But the good thing about that was that uh, it was flexible according to my working. So obviously the whole team knew I was prepping for it, and I kind of juggled putting time in for CAT in November and doing more of racing work in October and after my CAT. So yeah, I think uh, first of all, a CAT and CAT is very easily manageable, and as they've said, even if you don't put a lot of effort in a CAT, it doesn't matter because your CPA is kind of fixed for interviews as well as placements. So yeah, I think you shouldn't take that much of you shouldn't worry about it that much. So Somansh will tell you more about placements.
Uh, so I feel it's important to get a bit more focused when you have more number of things to do. So, so if you're planning to sit for placement seriously, then shortlist the areas where you want to focus and the kind of companies you want to focus on. So I had decided to focus just on mechanical core companies. So the major time that goes into placement is related to coding practice and maybe consultancy. But I hadn't opted for that. I had decided I just want to focus on mechanical core companies. Also, since most of the companies have aptitude tests which are very similar to the kind of syllabus that CAT has, so that is already taken care of. So that is an overlapping area which will benefit you, and you will obviously have an edge over others in terms of aptitude because most of them don't like they are not so much in touch with the quant questions and and that kind of thinking. So you will have an edge in that terms. In terms of interview preparation for placement, I really just focused on it after CAT. So in the last 1 week that we had just before the placement, I just focused very seriously in that time only. And of course, choosing the courses wisely is very important because that can like bring up many hard commitments in during your preparation. So and as they had pointed out, that CPI won't be changing. Yeah, so with that, can continue.
Yeah, so this question of which one should I go give more time to, and this same question I faced a lot in my time, and I spoke with my senior what his view were. So he said that eventually, right now you can manage both. Okay, there's not much issue. There won't be many placement activities going on, but after midsem, you'll have to choose one which you'll be giving more time. Like that's you need to define your priority order. Okay, either it's firstly is either it's cat or placements. You give more time to that, and yes, you'll do it afterwards. So luckily for me, I just had to prepare for aptitude, and all the tests were aptitude based. So I didn't have that much placement prep to do, and it was all manageable. But in my time, I put cat on priority.
Also, I would like to add, you might
So
be like just giving my personal experience. So I was pursuing a minor till my third year, but then I realized that CAT would be taking a lot of time, and then you typically want your 8th semester to be chill. So I just gave up that minor, and most of the courses could be tagged as a part elective. So that reduced my workload considerably in terms of the number of courses I need to complete in my 4th year. These kind of adjustments could be made depending on your priorities.
And I'd also like to add that so when people ask this placement versus CAT question, some of them have this doubt that they won't be able to take placement tests or something. To clarify that, most placement, so if you're not into about coding, then most placement tests are effectively same as your CAT. Might be easier. CAT is a bit tougher, but if you prep for CAT, then it is just a lot easier to go with all of the take all of these tests. But when we say placement versus CAT, what we mean is the amount that goes into preparing for an interview during placement. So that is also considerable. Or if you're aiming at consulting, then you have to do case studies, make case groups. That takes time, and that is what we focus on. It is not the test taking of placement, which is which is taking a toll on anyone. Yeah, and go to the next question.
Yeah. So the next question or the next area we want to cover is how is the profile you built in IIT going to help you in the selection? So I'll just start with myself. I work as a sports secretary, TechFest manager, and DAM mentor in the 4th year. So they'll not specifically give any weightage to this, or there is no weightage allotted for this all these PORs or anything as such. But there are some HR questions that they ask for sure, which are like why MBA, why do you want to do the MBA or things like that, and you need to answer something substantial. That is, you have had some experience with management and you liked it, and that's why you're going for the MBA, or answers like this. So it isn't necessary that you need to have a very good profile for selection in IIMs, but you know what, a good profile always helps, and you can leverage all the points that you've learned in, say, in my case, TechFest. So I'll use the points that came across and whatever learnings that I have had from TechFest or during my sports secretary tenure. So I'll use in the interviews and use them in, they'll obviously consider that this guy has done something, and that's when some by saying what he's saying, not just he hasn't just gone over some HR questions on the internet and giving the answer from that. So that always helps. And yeah, so the profile matters in this way, not any objective weightage is given to it. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so same thing. So if you Google it, you will get the exact criteria which IIMs put in while calling you for an interview. So like there is some weightage to CAT, some weightage to your board marks, some weightage to your CPI, and some weightage to WorkX. That is the general thing. So your POR or whatever you have done in speech is not a factor for you in an interview. But once you are inside an interview, now everyone is equal to them. So then this comes into picture because they want to see what all you have done, how good you are, and it's not just that you come to IIT and studied and not done anything parallel to it. It may not be a PR, it might be something of an hobby, it could be anything. PR is just an example which we give. But if you have done anything apart from your acads in college, then it is a advantage during the interviews. Yeah.
So having a good profile is beneficial in interviews. Basically, like in resumes, you can have quantified. You can actually mention things. So here you don't get to mention those things, but obviously having rich experience in the institute gives you a lot of substance to talk about and changes your personality. So that is the area where it gets reflected. A few questions about CPI. So they have different brackets of CPI for which there are different points. So I guess it's something like 8.5 and above. They get if it's scale, then they get 10. So 8.5 to 8.5, they get 9 or 8 or something like that. So yeah, CPI should improve as much as possible, but that's not a very crucial factor. Apart from this, in applications for interviews, you get to mention like in Ahmedabad, you have to mention 3 extracurricular and 3 co-curricular activities. So that is the only place where they actually get to know what you have done in the institute actually. But I don't think that has a very significant weight.
Could you repeat the thing about the CPI? I think people couldn't hear.
Okay, so CPI is a criteria like they have brackets, like they have brackets for 10th and 12th standard percentages. So if you have a CPI about 8.5, anything about 8.5 is equal to them, and they assign a score of 10. Say for that, and for 7.5 to 8.5, they would assign a score of 9 or something like that. But that has a very minor weightage in terms of the overall. Okay,
I think
you
I
can.
understand what you're trying to get. Let me just summarize what he said. So he's saying that there are brackets. Okay, there's one bracket called 8.5 to 10, and all the people in that bracket will have the same score. Okay, and then there's 7.5 to 8.5. I think yeah. Then 10 degradations. There are these brackets. Okay, that's what he's trying to say. Just so if your CPA is in that bracket, then it's no issue. Okay. And okay, coming to the question that was how to build a good profile, right? So having a good profile and having a good personality, these both are interrelated. If you have a good like if you have a good profile, then you had these different experiences and that develops you. So I would say get try to better yourself in these 4 years. Okay, profile, these PORs or anything is a way to go to that point. Try to be much better of what were you leaving insti as you were going inside. The important part, having something written down on your resume, you can talk about it definitely. So that's a feel of it. Okay, over to Devavrat.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the selection criteria. So there are a lot of questions of having low CPIs or low board marks, and so let me just clarify one thing. Even if you have any mark boards as boards or IIT CPI, IIM Calcutta is a very good choice, and IIM Calcutta is the only, I think, only IIM among the top IIMs that does not give any weightage to your past profile. So IIM Calcutta will only give weightage to your CAT score and your interview. So even if you have messed up all your life, you can just score well in CAT and get into IIM Calcutta. And that means that, of course, all the people who come at IIM Calcutta have good percentiles. And yeah, but for Bangalore and Ahmedabad, they are very particular about you having a very good profile throughout your life. Bangalore will certainly give a lot of weightage to even work experience. So freshers like us had to score really well in CAT and perform well in interviews to get selected. And mostly, IIM Bangalore is out of reach for many freshers. And if they are engineers on top of that, yeah, that is another thing. IIMs give weightage to diversity. So if you are an engineer, you will get 0 marks for diversity. If you are a male, you will get 0 marks for diversity. Apart from that, yeah, work ex carries a decent weightage, and if you have zero work ex, you will get 0 marks. And internships don't count as work ex. So yeah, there's that. So there are a lot of marks which people from IIT lose even before they start giving, even before they start applying. But we get good CAT percentiles, and you have to get good CAT percentiles. That's the minimum that is expected of you. And if you do that, you have a very good chance of cracking IIM Calcutta if you have messed up, way messed up all that you have done until now. But if you have a like decently good, above 7.5 CPI or even above 7 CPI, that's good enough to get you into Ahmedabad if you perform well in interviews. And yeah, Ahmedabad does give a lot of, that's what I saw after coming here. People have a really good scholastic record. That is, people have cracked Olympiads, and they have performed well in JE, really well in JE. And So Ahmedabad gives weightage for that, and Bangalore gives weightage for work ethics. But yeah, uh, you can do well in interviews because interviews are the ones that are the deciding factors. 50% of weightage is given to interviews by most of the IIMs. 50% is a really large number, and if you excel in an interview, there's no way they're going to stop you from going into the IIM. So interview is you need to focus something you need to really focus on after you have gotten calls from the IIMs. So you can come to that later because interviews is something in the distant future. But yeah, for now you just focus on CAT. Don't worry too much about the CPI and anything else that you have messed up till now. So just focus on CAT and you almost have a guarantee of getting into the top IIMs. So don't worry about that. Yeah, IIMs do have reservation. What else is there? Yeah, approximate percentile. I think Ahmedabad calls for general males from engineering background. I think 99.8 is generally the percentile for Ahmedabad.
Yeah. Kolkata goes I think 99.5 types you get Kolkata call. Bangalore is much on the CPI. So yeah, so as a fresher, if you're 8.5 plus, then you get.
Also, there were a few questions regarding what are the like if there is GD or those things. So currently, top IIMs, I don't think they conduct GDs, but they have most of them have a written test, a small essay that you need to write. You get 20 minutes for that. Ahmedabad has a different structure, and other IIMs have a different structure. In Ahmedabad, they give you a small case study, kind of thing, and they tell you specific questions like what are the assumptions made, how can you how can support the proposal, how can you oppose the proposal, and what are your views. So it's a bit more structured. And for other IIMs, they have a more they don't have such structured, so and they're a bit more lengthy. But yeah, you can prepare for that after your CAT, and that shouldn't be an issue. But that has 10% weight as well. Also, to hide the importance of interviews, so I didn't prepare much for the interviews. And as they pointed out that Calcutta gives a lot of weightage for interviews and doesn't give much weightage to your prior scholastic achievements. So I couldn't make one Calcutta finally, in spite of all the good records that I had. So yeah, like, eventually focusing on interviews would be crucial.
Yeah. We can move on to the miscellaneous headings we have. So yeah, individual IIMs, I think everyone has clarified. Just written it as a point to be discussed. So yeah, I'll talk a bit about it. So IIM Calcutta, as everyone said, gives more weightage to CAT and interviews, and negligible or very low weightage to board marks and CPI. And also, Calcutta is a bit more focused towards quants, so they want higher marks in maths and DILR, is what is the general notion. I'm not sure. They don't say it officially, but yeah. The second thing is IIM Bangalore. IIM Bangalore prefers people with. So a fresher getting into IIM Bangalore is in itself a big deal. Also, their interview calls are based on a good academic record, good CAT, good CPI, and I think 15% weightage is given to WorkX, which is a lot. So out of 100, if 15 goes into WorkX. IIM Ahmedabad is something which they look at the overall profile of a person. So I think they too have 48% in terms of weightage to the interview, and CAT takes I think 20 or 25 or 30%. These are numbers which you can easily find online. I don't remember it. I did remember all of these things when I was taking this, but yeah, I think it is something which you can worry about after your CAT results. is it important to have prior finance if I want to do an MBA in finance? So no, the good answer would be no, but it would obviously help if you do have some knowledge about finance. And what happens is when you enter an IIM, you don't say that you're getting an MBA in finance or an MBA in general management or an MBA in product management. You get an MBA, and it is what you like. You take electives depending on what you like. So in an interview, finance and the interviewers will ask questions on finance. If you say that in the past 2 years I have done data analytics, for example, then the questions will be on that side. It is, and you can enter and take up the field which you like. So whatever you are doing currently, you should be very good with that, and you should know a lot about that. But it is not imperative that if you are interested, you have to be interested in something which the college is going to teach, or you have to be good in something which the college is going to teach. That is not something which is a criteria. How do I deal with distractions from different things like social media, streaming, uncertainties, exercise, and studying? Okay, so the obvious answer to me is the same way you did it during, as in if you focused on studying for JEE, you can focus on studying for CAT. The good thing about CAT is you don't need to study as much. You need to, but it was at least tougher in some, because since we used to live in a hostel, it will be very different from you. The good thing to do is if you're at home, you can ask your parents to kind of monitor you or whatever. But yeah, I think it is a matter of discipline. If you want to clear CAT, then yeah, respect an important part of it, and it is a part of the preparation.
I would like to add to this. You can always stay in touch with friends who are also preparing for CAT. So for me personally, that was a very important thing. I had Rahul and some other friends as well who were preparing with me. So and I guess most of us in the institute are very competitive, and that can you can use that to your advantage and be in touch with them, discuss your score, discuss your strategy, and be competitive.
Yeah, I think yeah. Prepping with Somansh was a important factor, and that helped me a lot because so a good part was that when I didn't score well, I just looked at his score, and if in case he had also not scored well, it was something to be happy about. So coming to the next question.
Just a related incident that happened with me. We were giving mocks together, Rahul and I and some of the friends. And towards the end, our score was improving, and then we went on to give the last mock, which was, I guess, a week before final paper. And in that, I actually scored my lowest percentile. So that was very disturbing to me. And for a couple of days, I was completely, uh, I was, I was feeling very down. I was questioning myself if I'm actually good enough, or why is this happening just a week prior to CAT, and like what can I do now? What if it happens on the final day? Why are others able to perform better than me? Why am I not able to do? And all this went for a couple of days. But then towards the end, I decided that whatever it is, I have just a few days of time left. So other than giving my best, there's nothing more I can do. So I'll just focus on giving my best on the day of the exam. And unfortunately, that last mock didn't repeat itself, and on the day of exam, I performed it. So I would say basically just be competitive and compare yourself with others, but that should be healthy competition, and you should not weigh yourself down if any ups and downs come during the preparation. So just believe in yourself, believe in the total preparation that you do, and especially on the day of exam, uh, go ahead with full confidence.
I think before going on to the next question, I would like to give you guys a little bit of motivation. So I have a question for you guys. How many people from IIT Bombay went into IIM Ahmedabad this year? What's your guess? tell you the answer. It's 11. 11 people from IIT Bombay at a class of 900, right? That's pretty high. And take I'm Bangalore. Suppose 5 people went there. I'm Kolkata. Rahul. How many people there?
I think there are 8 people in the group. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And in
like
Ahmedabad
20,
as well,
like,
I guess 6 to 7 are from mechanical, so mechanical guys can be a bit more happy.
and like you get this data, right? So around 20, 25 people from IIT Bombay this year, they're getting into CAT out of a batch of 900. So this data, it's really great. We have an edge over other IITs or whatever you call it. This might not repeat over the years, but it's a good feeling for you, right? And another statistics I would like to give in the senior batch, I think there are around 30 people out of a batch of 400, 30, 35 people that are just from IIT Bombay. 10% of the people are just from IIT Bombay. That's crazy. So I think you guys have a good chance if you prepare well. Okay, just go, just have that confidence. Because first I used to think that IIM Ahmedabad is out of reach because after I looked at all these criteria, right? Criteria being percentile, you need to get more than 99.8, which is huge. Then you need to be good marks, this, that, and it's so overwhelming, right? But eventually, if you put your mind to it, you'll get it.
Also,
The data says so.
you can use this data to your advantage. So it's difficult to just know, like, from a mock scores whether you will actually make it to the top IIMs or not. But you always have your city score when you give your mock, and you can safely assume that most of the toppers will be from IIT Bombay. So you can have, like, if you are in top 15, then you could be in IIM Ahmedabad, you could be in any of the top IIMs. So that is a way in which you can gauge your improvement and gauge where you could stand eventually.
Okay.
I think going on to the next question, like we have a few others. How much a minor in management might help, right? So minor in management, I don't think any of us have done that. Have we?
No.
I can take a, a,
So yeah. For manager, I, I think this is not such a lot of people are doing multiple things, and for me cat prep was only in the fourth year. So till the third year it was I did zero. You could have given me a paper and I would have scored 100 because of the time limit, but yeah. So it was just the final year where I did my cat prep, and as I said, my work in racing, people were accommodative. Everyone knew what the situation was. People took my work, and it was it was just something which it was easy to transfer from one thing to another. Although yes, having that focus throughout is a tough thing, but it is not something which is a deal breaker for anyone. So if you want to do anything parallel with your cat prep, I think it is doable.
Also, since it's in the seventh sem where you will be preparing seriously, so even people around you would be preparing for something or the other. So there is an atmosphere and environment wherein people are dedicatedly working towards something. So avoid distraction should be easy if you stay in touch with your peers.
Yeah. without the.
Okay. So yeah, we have another question that is tracking GMAT now. Like if you want to give GMAT in the second or third year, so you can give a try at it. You'll get a good idea about how it is, and you can also give it later on. And then should you prepare for CAT? CAT requires you can start 6 months before. Almost all of us started that. That's the like time limit for us like engineers from IIT Bombay. I've seen people that prepare all year, but they are different case, right? Do we
Yeah,
have any other questions?
yeah, you can just put it in the
Yeah,
chat. I
let's.
think we'll go through a few to them.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just come to the interviews. There are a lot of questions on interviews. So basically, what they ask in interviews is everything that you should know actually. Okay. So what should you know? Basically, you are studying engineering. So they'll ask questions about your branch. Okay. Then if you play any game or you if you say you follow some game, they'll ask you information about what is going on in this game in the international sports and etc. Then they'll ask you about your own city. You should know things about your own city, right? Like the history of your city or major landmarks and the history of those landmarks, etc. Or the politics in your city, etc. They'll ask you about your mayor or things like that. So that is there. They'll ask only questions related to you, not anything random. So there's that. And lastly, of course, they'll venture into current affairs. Current affairs is very important in the. So you guys may know that in the personal interview part, they also make you write an essay, which carries about 10% weightage in the total. So in this, the things are very much focused on current affairs. So you need to know a great deal about current affairs. As you need not start from now on, but keeping an eye on the newspaper is a good step to engage in right now. And you can of course you like engage fully in current affairs after you have got a good score in CAT and you have got a call from IIMs. If you just binge watch Shekhar Gupta, etc. on YouTube, you will get a good idea of current affairs. So yeah, current affairs is a thing that they'll definitely delve into. Yeah, apart from that, just remember that there's no such thing that they'll ask that you shouldn't know. Even if they ask, they aren't actually expecting you to answer. They are just trying to see how you approach the question. So they'll go into global warming or any sort of thing, and they'll just see if you're answering logically and you aren't going completely off track or blurting out something completely illogical in the interview. So you keep your things logical. You know what you should know, and you are, I think, good to go for the interview. So just focus on yourself. What are the areas you should know, and gather information from the web about those areas. And yeah, that is how you prepare for the interview. So don't focus on that right now so much because it may go to waste if you don't get a good score. So just focus on the score right now, and there's lots of time afterwards to prepare for the interview. So just chill out for now.
Also, if you prepare well for the placements, then like half of the preparation for the interviews would be done right there. In terms of small things like how to present yourself, how to present your words, how to carry yourself, how confident you should be. You should won't get nervous and also all those practice, and you'll get enough exposure to that during placements. So after that, what is left is to focus on the content that you would want to present in the interview. And just to like summarize, there are basically three aspects in the interview. One is why, one is MBA, which is the most important to them. The next one is the technical knowledge regarding to your field, which I don't think they take very seriously because the it's a very vast syllabus. And the third one is current affairs, and even that is many times related to the things you have mentioned in your previous answers. So there are three things majorly.
Yeah, another thing I would like to add is that reading newspapers is a very good habit, and you can follow editorials, newspaper editorials, because they give a point of view and these will be good reading practices for RC also. You might want to do that. Just whenever you're reading a passage, try to figure out which side you are on. Like, try to keep it everything logical. Why is the author saying like this? And that way you read something.
Okay. So one question which I see is, can you guide a little bit about the different distance learning programs at time? I'm a little bit confused to choose video lessons or just for study material and mock tests. So, Shubh, first of all, I think that distant learning thing is something. So, video lectures is something which all four of us have not attended because we had an option of going to the class itself. That said, out of all four of us, I think just Vedarth was the only guy who regularly attended classes. So I would say that after going through the prep, I can say that yes, I did not need video classes. Just books and mock tests is sufficient was sufficient for me. But on that side, I did take the whole package. So it kind of is a personal choice, and some people like it this way, some people like it the other way. It is up to you what you want to take. I can assure you that if you don't take the classes, you will not be at a disadvantage if it is in your style to not go to classes.
Right. One more thing. The reason why I went to classes because maybe I didn't have anything else better to do. Right. It's weekend. What else will I do? I'll just watch something. Better than it's better to go to the class. That's all. Any other question we have? Yeah, I think one more thing. Time has this. You definitely, even if you're not serious or less serious, you can try giving the time test series. Aim cards. You can have that package.
I think all four of us can agree that mocks are like almost indispensable during the preparation. So yeah, that is a necessity, I would say. And the
Does
mocks of time
multiple
are a bit on a difficult side as compared to that, and that is basically advantages to you. So when I basically gave previous year CAT papers, so I was a bit happy and relaxed that it's a bit on the easier side. Even the VARC seemed a bit on the easier side, so yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, MCATs are tougher than the CAT. At least
But
this year, I'm hearing from people they're a lot tougher than CAT.
but having said that, it is a percentile that you compare eventually, and that shouldn't change much.
Yeah, you should focus on your rank in the MCATs. Just focus on that.
So our scores varied from my score varied from 120 to 180, and in the beginning it was low, but when I studied, it became better. I think it was true for everyone. I got one
Like his
test
final score, we have.
where I got 210, and in my final CAT score was 225. So and then it was unskilled CAT score was 225. So I wouldn't say that you get depressed or be disappointed or be very happy just by your mock scores, but it is a good indication, and the percentile is also something which helps you to gauge yourself. Uh, Tezan, does anybody know about the general and advanced package, or did we not have it during it?
No,
They,
all of us
I
actually
don't
took
think
the standard
I
program that time has for IIT people. So I think it is around 18,000 rupees and you get everything in that. So it is special, especially for IIT people. So you can just take that. I think it is the best value for money you'll get there.
Including the interview preparation and the seminars they have.
yeah,
Ah,
so that includes everything. So the question two, where did you study for VAT? So you can do it yourself as an online, or you can. So if you join time, then time does take care of those things as well. And I think they had classes on how to take VAT as well. And then there are also some mock interviews which time had provided. So uh, I don't know the name of the package, but the one which would be close to that 18K value is something which covers everything.
Just to add a minor point, which I don't think would matter much, but I guess IIMs have a minimum cutoff for each section as well. That was around 80 or 85 percentile, I guess. But yeah, you shouldn't go that low anyway. But just to know.
Anything else? If you missed a
Nothing
question,
more.
you can just put it back because everything has just gone up. So, if anything, we can wait until 5 minutes. If no one has a question, we can just end the session.
Yeah, and you can always ping us on Facebook.
Yeah, you can always reach out to us. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So thank you guys for this wonderful session. It really helped us understand all the nuances of MBA and CAT specifically. To all the attendees, thanks for showing up in such a large number and helping in making this session interactive. We hope all your doubts are satisfactorily cleared, and we will also be sharing the session's recording. As mentioned before, we'll soon be launching a discussion forum for CAT and other competitive exams. So do look out for that. Apart from that, do reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll try and help you in the best of our capacity. Thank you.
Thank you guys for organizing this, and thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Vishnu.
Thanks, thanks.
All the best, guys.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
and all the
you.
best, of course.
Bye. All the best.
Bye.